You do not have to be polite to a white nationalist.
Hey, my peoples. Welcome back for part 3 of this. I'm not going to recap because there's way too much going on. Watch 1 and 2. This message is incredibly important. I want to say I'm not coming at this creator. I actually have been a longtime follower of hers and I like her. But I also don't think that you have to agree with everything a person says to enjoy their content, which is the situation for this video. So in the last video, we left off with my ex-wife and I getting harassed, death threats, someone booby-trapping our house so that we could become unalived. Yeah, that's actually what he told the police officers when they arrested him, that's what his whole goal was. That particular person went to jail 6 times before they finally stopped. So with everything going on, I was full-time disabled at this time, but I was still being a rights activist for LGBTQ rights. My ex was going to school to be a social worker and was working 2 full-time jobs. My parents said, with everything going on and you guys need a new place to live, come live in the other half of the duplex that my mom and dad built when I became disabled, to ensure I always had a place to go. So we moved to this really small town. Everything was great, as long as my mom and dad were there. As soon as my dad retired, he's like, you know what? I want to be closer to your brother. I've never been around your brother. I always lived so far away. So they signed me over the house, and they moved to my brother's in Illinois. After that happened, the harassment started. Our neighbors had always kind of hinted about how they really didn't like having a gay couple next door, especially ones with kids. So this is some of the things that they used to do. They broke into the building. They would cut off our main electricity. At the main coming in from the power company, would turn off our electricity, and then they would put a lock on it. But we couldn't unlock it and turn our lights back on. They would physically cut multiple places our phone lines on the outside of our house, because there were no cell phones back then, so that when we were being harassed and terrorized, we couldn't call for help. Every time we were outside in our yard, doing gardening, yard work, eating dinner on our patio, the police would show up with a noise complaint. Our dogs would bark. The police would show up with a noise complaint. It got so bad that the chief of police had to come and find out what was going on. They were getting 5 or 6 calls a day. When I opened the door, I was shocked. It was actually an old family friend from when I was a teenager. He looked at me and went, "What the hell? Why am I getting calls about you? You weren't even a troubled kid. Come with me." I introduced him to my ex-wife, and he's like, "Oh, good for you, but oh." He did everything in his power to protect us until he lost his job protecting us. We were harassed by the mayor, several of the business owners in town. We had 1 gas station in town. We were not allowed to go get gas together. One of us could go, but not both, because they didn't want to see our kind there. We had death threats. My ex lost her job over this. When we started up our service animal agency, they killed the 2 therapy goats that we took to the brain injury clinic in Iowa. And that's still not as bad as it got. I guess how bad it got is going to be in 4, and that should be able to round this up. I'm being extra detailed in this because I think it's an important message. It's important to see this side of this equation. Because while it's a noble thing to say, stand up and fight, it's not always possible. More in